right, welcome everyone to the Dave Cooper Live Show, where we feature the people, the products, and the processes helping us all to build it better. And today's guest was recently awarded a Top 10 Inspiring CFO Award in her role with Gurdon. But before her current role, she also founded her own union commercial mechanical installation company and actually escaped from Alcatraz. Today, we are welcoming CFO of Gurdon to the Dave Cooper Live Show, where we're going to discuss how to finance modular construction, control cash flow, watch those KPIs, keeping you on the road to success. But before we do that, we have to thank our sponsors. So let's have a word. Stream Modular, the only logistics company you need to transport your mods, pods, and panels. Our friends at Stream Modular are investing $50 million over the next 25 years to build the technology, solutions, and trailers needed to handle and transport the projects of today and meet the demands of tomorrow. Reach out to their team at streammodular.com to discuss your next project. CombiLift is the largest global manufacturer of multi-directional forklifts and straddle carriers, a leader in long load handling solutions, offering a free warehouse and site optimization design service. CombiLift helps companies of all sizes and from every industry maximize the capacity, safety, and efficiency of their warehouse and storage facilities. A big thank you to Paul Short and the team at CombiLift for helping us all to build it better. Visit them at combilift.com. Brave Control Solutions, where offsite manufacturing systems that do more than just improve productivity. They have a unique approach to industrialized construction, a lineup of flexible automation systems specifically designed for the construction industry, empowered by CAD to Fab, and turnkey solutions for 3D volumetric assembly, structural insulated panels, finished wall assemblies, MEP component processing, assembly, kitting, and storage. Learn more at thinkbrave.com. All right, again, thanks everybody, and make sure you go and thank all of those awesome sponsors of ours, because we cannot bring you all these informative conversations with all of these leaders from around the world without them. So without further ado, let's bring on CFO of Gurdon, Cindy Michael. Cindy, how are you today?
Good. Hi, everybody. How are you?
Man, I am doing awesome. You want to know why I'm doing awesome, Cindy?
Why is that?
Because you're on the show and we're going to talk about modular financing. It's dear and near to my heart, and I'm super excited to hear what you have to say. And I also want to say a big congratulations for your award.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it was. It's great to be inspiring to other CFOs around the country too. So.
You know what? It is. And it's great to be acknowledged and, for all the hard work, because let's face it, the CFOs are usually behind the scenes doing all the real work along with the other team members within companies. And it's good to see that recognition is given to them and to yourself. And we're going to continue that. But before we get into this conversation about how to finance modular, what to look for in modular, what to watch out for when it comes to maybe getting stuck in financing in modular, and why is it hard to find modular financing? We're going to talk about all these things. We want to know a little bit about you. In fact, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff, or we will have a family member on this show, and they might spill all the beans. So be careful. We do follow that sometimes, but you only have 2 minutes to do it. The floor is yours.
Okay, 2 minutes. I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah, and grew up there, and with my brothers, 2 brothers and a sister, moved to Las Vegas and got my degrees from UNLV, a BS in accounting, MBA, got my CPA and my CMA. Was in the good days of UNLV during the Tarkanian days. We spent a lot of time in the Shark Tank. I love college football. Then I founded a mechanical installation company Right out of college, I was suddenly thrown into a man's world of construction. I realized that this was not the easiest place to be. Coming in as a woman, there's a lot of things that you have to overcome. And I learned that uh, in order to be respected and trusted, that you had to be an expert in your field. And so I learned everything I could about mechanical insulation, grew the company to one of the largest on the West Coast, worked in multiple states, worked on the largest commercial projects probably in the US with over 300 union workers in the height of 2006 to 2008, when the market suddenly crashed, as everybody's aware. Um, there was a change. And I sold my company to one of my customers, a mechanical company, took us in-house, and I turned over and helped them be successful in the field. We also had a manufacturing company where we made insulation products that we used in our insulation company. So those were my first days in manufacturing.
All right. So listen, Cindy, I mean, you're too modest, right? You grew that commercial mechanical insulation company to be one of the largest on the entire West Coast, and you did that in the '90s, like you said, as a woman in the construction industry. So I think a big congratulations to you, because you've been in this industry a long time, and that is just awesome when I hear success like that.
Yes, it was. It's construction's is fascinating to me. I love to see things come together, all the trades, and then you build it, and it comes together in the end where people can go and enjoy the product. It's
Right.
fun to see happen. I've always been intrigued by construction.
Speaking of seeing, you've been in this industry since the '90s. You're still in the construction industry today, but you recently only came into the modular space. How has the industry changed since when you first got into it, and now where you're at today?
Well, I think today now we're seeing so much more of the labor shortages, which is impacting construction trades. We're not finding that the people are coming into the trades anymore. So I think one of the benefits of modular is these labor shortages. When you're working in a factory, you got climate control, you got your labor there day in and day out, right on site. You can control the costs better, you can get better quality. So transitioning into modular was an interesting and intrigued me, just the way you can build it now off-site and bring it to on-site. The speed to market is always an issue.
Yeah.
So it's fun.
You mentioned the labor shortage, right? And how does this make a difference when it comes to the opportunity for a more diversified workforce, more women in this industry? Are you seeing it within Gearden, and are you seeing it at other companies as well?
We are. We're trying to promote more women in the industry. I think it's easier when they're not going to job sites, which become very, they're large and maybe overwhelming sometimes when women are first coming into the trades. But in a factory setting, we have a lot of different jobs that women can do. So we always are promoting for training, for women to move up, for women to gain those skills that they can use in the modular factory setting, that they might not be willing to go do out on a big commercial project.
Right. Your past experiences that you've had with your mechanical installation in company that you owned, and the different experiences you had, how are you bringing that into the modular space as far as the knowledge you have? And also, do you see a big difference between on-site construction and off-site construction?
I don't. Well, off-site we're building from the inside out. Where on-site you build from the outside in. But I think the real key here is that I lost my train of thought. Your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's okay. So how are you seeing a difference between on-site and off-site construction? from where you were working before. And, you're right. I mean, on outside, you build from the inside out, and inside, you build from the outside in, which obviously is a much better, safer way to build because you're not dealing with all the environments. As I like to say, Cindy, it's always sunny and 70 inside a manufacturing facility.
Yes, it is true. We worked on many projects that were hindered by weather, whether it was wind or snow or so bringing it in the factory is a much better climate for the workers to be in. So yes, it's very beneficial.
It is. And by the way, you guys have a secret study we're going to talk about at the very end, where there's an on-site and off-site project going up right next to each other to see what are the differences. Correct?
Correct. Yes, it's fascinating to watch the progress of each.
Yeah. And so we're going to take you through kind of a photo montage. We got a little bit of video for you coming up as well. But before we get into that, let's talk about Gurdon. All right. Let's talk about, all the different things that you do for Gurdon. You are the CFO. Can you walk us through kind of your day to day and what your role is as the CFO?
Okay. So Gurdon was purchased recently in 2020 by a private equity firm. So my role here at Gurdon, since I started in 2022, was an implementation of a new computer software system. We will want visibility to better tracking of our inventory, better control of warehouse management, efficiencies in labor. It's all about bringing costs down, watching costs, watching cash flows, what makes the biggest difference. So as role as CFO here at Gurdon, I've been put into that position of trying to track what's the best KPIs, what do we need to watch out for, and what system will get us across the finish line so that we can help these GCs and these developers bring their costs down so their projects will pencil in the long run for them.
Well, and that's it. And I love how you said we work with the GC. So you're a manufacturer of product. Is Gurdon also the installer and the general contractor on these projects?
No, we're just the modular builder. But that's what I was going to say when we were talking earlier that I got my train of thought.
Yeah.
Was I think one of the things that I bring to the table is because I've dealt with being on site, the challenge of modular is understanding for the GCs, helping them understand the difference in the roles when you build modular compared to what you do when you build on site. It's taking the responsibility matrix and really looking at who's responsible for what and when, and getting the costs under control, because the modular piece is such a large piece compared to when you're building on site. So there's hurdles in getting GCs across the finish line, especially ones that haven't ever built modular, in understanding how much we actually do compared to what their on-site contractors do after the product is set on the project. We can help analyze. One of Gurdon's strengths is helping the GCs and developer analyze those costs so that they don't get double, sometimes like the electricians, the plumbers, the mechanicals, they don't know, if they haven't done modular before, what their piece looks like. So we can help guide and focus those GCs and those subcontractors into providing reasonable prices so that modular makes sense.
Yeah. I think it's brilliant what you just said, because that is the biggest that to me, that's the biggest, hairy, audacious goal that we all have to achieve.
Yes.
Right? They call it a BHAG, is the education, because
It's
everybody
huge.
tries to take site costs and compare it to modular costs, but they really don't know how to work the numbers so it makes sense. And when they go to pencil, it just looks insanely out of control financially when you go from a site built to an offsite build. And having the experience, right? Because there's those of us on the business side and the sales side and even the installation side that'll tell you all day long how awesome it is. But you have the ability to sit there and have an intelligent conversation with the site folks that are looking at this industry and say, this is how you do it and this is how it pencils. Is that right?
That's right. And so we spent a lot of time kind of going over our responsibility matrix. Sorry. We want to own the suite. We deliver our product completely finished. It's appliances, closet organ. I mean, you know, the modular industry. I mean, it's done. We do everything here in our factory. There's nothing that we perform on site. So, you know, so we take training the companies when we look at the budgets, looking at the responsibility matrix, looking at who's responsible for what and when that piece is accomplished and when that happens. We're here to follow the project from birth to when it gets occupancy. We don't just say FOB, it's yours.
Right.
Gurdon's philosophy is to carry it through to the end, to see that the customer's happy and the customer relationship exists so that we can do repeat business, so that they'll want to use modular again.
Does Gurdon build with steel or wood?
We're a volumetric wood modular manufacturer. So we are constrained to, you know, 3 or 4 stories.
Yeah.
And then, but I mean, Gurdon's been around doing this for 20 years. So, I mean, we have our tribal knowledge that we use that takes us across the finish lines, our quality assurance programs, our, you know, just how we build it is unique to Gurdon, but we've done it for a long time. So
Sure. You have been doing it for a long time. Why don't we take a look at some of your projects that you have? And then as we're going through this, you can explain what we're looking at. And I think when we're done looking at these projects, I would love to get in to understand some of the systems that you have put in place, because earlier you were talking about how important processes and those systems are for you to be able to get those KPIs you're looking at, but also not just for yourself, to help make the entire team and workflow successful. I know it's all tied together from outside where it's being installed through, you know, all the manufacturing side of that. And then we can kind of wrap up with some tips and tricks on what you look for, you know, if we were to talk about that. So I'm going to put these on the screen. You just tell me where you want to go with it, and we'll take you on the journey.
Okay. So this is 6th Street Place. It is just finishing. It's homeless housing in LA. This is a rendering that was done before we started construction, just basic design, how we start. I mean, it's very important when you're working with a modular contractor to get it in as early as you can with the design team, with the architect, with the MEPs, so that it all comes together in the way you want it to look. Go ahead.
Yeah. And this is what, 5 stories over a podium. So everybody understands, because when you say you do, you know, 4 or 5 stories, this is actually over a steel podium or a concrete podium, I'm assuming.
Correct. Yes. It's over a concrete podium.
Perfect.
This is just a little look inside the factory. At any given day, we have 150 to 200 employees working the line. He's working on the windows. It's so, I mean, that's just a look inside, simple look.
How big is the Gurdon factory?
It's about 100,000 square feet, 80,000 square feet.
80,000 square feet?
Yeah, we have 22 stations that the product goes through. Takes 2 weeks for one unit to get through the whole line. Every you know, step of the way has its duties, and we track costs as they go through the line.
When you say one unit, are we talking about one module like we're seeing there, or are we talking about one floor depending on the size of the project?
We're talking one modular.
Yeah, perfect.
This is just some of our inside finishes. Gurdon's kind of known in the industry to be not as standardized. We do a lot of one-off snowflake, we call them snowflake projects, where we take the designs and we make them modular, and people get to pick their finishes and the way they want to look. And we just coordinate it and make sure that it can be modular friendly.
That's beautiful, right? And people can customize what they want as well. So if you're working with a commercial project, a small hotelier or what have you, you can pretty much have what you want, since they're snowflakes.
Yes. We'd love to be standardized, but it seems like the market still loves to build the way they want to build. And when you're competing with on-site, you got to be flexible in that arena, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this is an interesting view of Skid Row in LA. In the far background, I don't know if you can point to it. There's a white building there you see in the background.
Right here?
No, on the other side.
Here,
right there, that one.
Yeah, got it.
That was a project, yeah, right there. That's a project we did in 2012. It's called the Star Apartments. It was actually the first modular project done in LA, and it's for homeless housing. We're on our second project now. If you scroll back out a little bit, zoom back out, keep going.
Right here.
You'll see that's the newest one we're doing. That's the 6th and Julian or 6th Street project. That's the modulars getting set for that. Project's in COO right now. The homeless people are starting to move into those apartment units.
Man, I was just in LA and I'll be back out there soon. I'm going. Can I go and get a tour of these?
Yeah, you might risk your life, but sure, you can get a tour.
Perfect. Perfect.
I think the photographer said he could have run. You see him coming down the street. There was a lot of coordination. They had to shut down. If you go back to that other slide there, they had to shut down some of the streets in LA to bring the mods down the streets for the setting, because you can see there is no space on this side at all to store any kind of units. So, I mean, that's another thing you can do with modular is if you have a very constrained construction site that doesn't have a lot of laydown yard, they actually, used a laydown yard that was further down the road and then we were able to bring them in and set them. But they had to close some streets down while they were bringing them in.
Perfect.
And then this is how it looks just prior to COO. It's getting finished. That was one of the latest pictures that we had on the project.
Looking beautiful.
Okay, this is another one we're doing. It's workforce housing. It's for Alaska up on Dutch Harbor Island. They are building a big seafood factory up there, and they needed housing for their workforce. We did this project over the summer. All of the units had to be on the barges by July 31st. Again, here's a look inside. You can see it's still customized, different than the other one we were just looking at. So whatever the design is that they want inside, 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, studios, kitchens, not kitchens, we can make it the way you want it. This is them actually craning it onto the barges that were shipping it up to Alaska. I think they were on the barges for about a month.
So this is a great conversation right here because, this is one of the values of being able to ship modular all around the world. And not only can you do it on barges, you can do it on trains, right?
Yes.
If you have some of the military planes, you could probably ship them on planes as well if you had that kind of budget. But the reality of it is, so you're not really limited on where you can go with these outside of space, correct?
Exactly. Yes. I mean, you got constraints, distance from your factory and transportation costs. What's economical? At what point is it not economical on the transportation costs? So we relatively do within an 800-mile radius around Boise, Idaho here, where we can ship economically and transport to make it still within the budgets.
Is it less money? This is a great question now. Is it less money to ship than it is to put on the back of a truck and drive?
You mean was it less money to barge these? Or
yes, the question would be, so if I'm going to build a new manufacturer, should I build on the coastline of the ocean so I can just build up and down the East Coast and put everything on a big old barge ship? Or is it less money? Is it less money to do it that way than to, have 100 trucks driving 500-600 miles back and forth?
Great question. I have not done a comparison on that. We didn't handle, once we delivered to the barges, we didn't handle the cost of that. So I don't even know what it relatively costs to barge them. So I couldn't analyze that. Sorry.
That's all right. That's all right.
It's just a good question though.
We should look at it. We'll do a case study, you and I. How about that?
All right. Sounds good. We will. This is actually up there in Dutch Harbor. They built out the land in order to build this project. So you can see they kind of, I don't know if they added land to the island to build this or if they just dug away from the mountainside there that you can see, but that's where the project's going.
Perfect. Perfect. And now we have, we're going to move on right to a video that we have. Video. Yeah. Is it okay if I put that up?
Yes, please do. A little history here. So this is the rendering that started out. Dutch Harbor is the island where they filmed The Deadliest Catch. So we were up against, so this again is workforce housing. You can see it has the podium underneath where they're going to have like cafeterias and workout rooms for the workforce. This project had to withstand wind speeds from 100 to 120 miles an hour. So in the design, we had to factor that in. What, product wise, what we could use, windows especially that could withstand wind control, not really temperature. As far as I know, the temperatures don't stay in the negative very long up here. It's mostly the winds they dealt with, and it delayed some of the sets a couple days where the winds were too high to set the product because when you're craning things, you can't have high winds going on.
Right,
But,
right.
this is it coming together, and look how fast with modular it stacks up and comes together. What?
This entire project, how did it get there? On the barge?
On the barge, yep.
So everything here went up there. Like that's a boatload. So a boat pretty much carried the entire workforce housing project.
Yes. I think there was 2 barges that carried the whole thing up there.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think in the background of one of these pictures, you can see them still on the barge and then bringing them over off the barges.
Well, we'll let it play through and take a look at that one more time. But
we stayed on until we're still up there right now, helping coordinate. We're doing some sheetrock and on-site stuff for them right now, putting the hallways together and helping them coordinate the connects for the electrical. So we're still up in Dutch Harbor helping finish up the project for them.
Did you go out on it? Did you go crabbing?
I have not been up there. Maybe I should. Sounds great.
Oh, I watched that show.
Some crab.
No way. I'd be so sick. Oh, I'm not that guy.
Yeah, I'm not one for those big boats either.
I'd be so green. Horrible green. So, all right, perfect. So let's move on. We have some more, and then I want to get to some comments and questions. So I'm going to put this back on the screen here. So what are we looking at here?
Okay, this is in Big Sky, Montana. This is our Riverview project. We have done quite a bit of work this recent past year for Colorado, mostly in ski resort towns. This one's Big Sky, but the one we're working on right now that's online is going to Telluride, or Mountain Village. We've done Aspen, we've done Grand Junction, Colorado. Wherever they're lacking in housing for workforce, they have short seasons of build. So ski resort towns, there's very short build seasons because of the weather. So they have realized that modular is the way to go. So we've been doing a lot of projects in ski resort towns.
That's beautiful.
Again, here's just a picture of the inside, customized, make it look how you want. These were 1 bedroom, 2 bedrooms, and 3 bedrooms units. One thing to note on this one is we had a very, very successful day of Set and Connect where we actually set 26 units. It's 26 modulars, which is like unheard of. It was everything, like the stars and the moon have to line up in order to set that many in a day.
Yeah, especially wood modulars, right? Because wood's not always the straightest structures to put in. And I think for a good day, most are doing less than 10 a day. So you've all doubled that.
Yeah, this was the boxes were square, the GCs were ready. I mean, everything lined up. The shuttles were ready to move the units, and the Set and Connect crew was skilled, ready to go, and they made it happen. And you don't get too many of those 26-day set days.
Right. And I'm assuming this is an overall view of that project.
This is an overall view
project.
This is building 300 and 400. We're actually doing 5 buildings. So we have 600, 700, and 800 still that's going in. And in the background there, this is our case study for on-site versus off-site construction. Those 2 pads you're seeing that you just zoomed in on are the on-site. Those are building 100 and 200. And they decided to go with a local company and build those on-site. And so you can see the progress that we're making compared to what they're making with their on-site construction crews.
Wow.
we're going to have this enclosed and ready before the end of the year, so workforce housing can start using these units, and they are still coming out of the ground. So this is a great case study for us. We're tracking it along the way, keeping photos, and so that we can use this in helping other developers and GCs want to use modular. It just
Yeah.
proves that it's a quicker way to get product up and going.
Well, when you are done with that project, I think you should come on to the show here and let's talk about that, because it's not very often that you can have the same building being built, right, on site and off site, to truly get a cost analysis of how that's working. Now, when you do that with the general contractor that's building the on site, is he sharing his numbers with you? Is that how it worked? You guys kind of agreed to this?
No, we didn't really agree, and I don't know that they're really knowing that we're doing it.
Ah,
So
they do now if they watch the Dave Cooper.
yeah, they will. But I have a better proposal for you. Maybe we should go do a show up there. We can look at it right on site, walk
Hey,
the units.
we could. Yeah, I got the gear. We could live stream right on location and have those conversations and showcase everything that's there for sure. Absolutely.
I think that would be a better broadcast, if you ask me.
Well, I'm in. So let's work on that. But for now, let's get back to financing. Let's get back to what your day-to-day job is. You know, Cindy, when we're looking at these people, people are talking about, man, I'm having a hard time finding financing, which we talked a little before the show, and it is getting tougher out there.
Oh yeah.
What suggestions or advice can you give to our viewers when it comes to financing one of these projects? Because not everybody's Gurdon, and there's new factories coming on. There's people thinking they want to do a factory. What advice would you give them if you were just starting out?
Well, one thing I would say if someone's starting out in the modular world would be to be careful on how much you automate right out of the chute. If you can control your leverage on your balance sheet so that you're not highly leveraged, I think that would be impactful for the success of any new modular company. It's really understanding what it takes to put these units together. Gurdon has a lot of tribal knowledge. We've perfected some of our assemblies, done a lot of testing over the years, so that helps. But I think one of the obstacles for people, financing these modular construction site is working with the banks and helping the banks understand what we're doing and understanding how to set up the cash flows so that you're not behind, that you're ahead in the cash flow, which is different than the way they do it on site. And it's one of the reasons, one of the things I look at here at Gurdon is how you do your billings every month and your invoicing and getting the banks comfortable with that process, because it's totally different than the construction world does it.
Yeah.
And we offer banks to come tour the factory, come see what we do. And again, it goes back to helping the GCs understand, the risk and their rewards of doing it modular. The speed to COO, speed to market.
Why do you think the banks haven't jumped on this as fast as they, in my opinion, should? Because it sounds like their investment's a lot more secure this way than ever in site building. You have any
I think
outlooks on that?
I think some of the biggest factors for the banks again is just they're just not used to seeing the way we take deposits up front and how we get these things online, and when you're doing on-site construction, the GC has it spread among many subcontractors, where when you're looking at modular, it's one big piece of the pie. And if something happens to that modular builder, why the project's going, or if something happens on the other side, this project stops, the impact to the builder, the modular builder, is very significant.
Sure.
I mean, you've saved a place in your line on your production floor. And if that project stops, you've got holes. There's not something that just can come immediately and take the place of it. So, I mean, it's getting the banks to just kind of understanding the process of modular, just like We have to educate the GCs on it. There's a lot of education that goes on when you're working with the banks.
Yeah. So let's get into the financing side of this. And what are the things that you look at? You said that, systems and processes are super important. And I would imagine it's extremely important for you to be accurate at your job. So can you talk a little bit about, the types of systems that you're using? A lot of people don't always want to share what they're using, but if you could talk about the overall process and systems that you have in place, I think it'd be very helpful.
Well, one of the things I noticed right away when I got to Gurdon is we weren't tracking any kind of budgets to actuals. We didn't compare our estimates. The departments between estimating, purchasing, and engineering weren't really talking together. It's eliminating these silos, and all the teams have to work together in order to understand the project. We estimate things long before, a lot of times long before there is actual, you know, construction drawings. And so there's that lag between, design, when your design is finished and complete, design lock is what we call it, to when we had estimated it previously. So it's bringing the teams together and looking at the overall projects so that we can track the budgets versus the actuals. And that's something I've really been focusing on because, I mean, coming from the outside construction world, that was huge. We had to know, are jobs making money? Are they not making money? What made them, lessons learned, what made them make money, and what can we do better next time? And so I've been really, since I've been here the last year and a half, diving into those issues.
How do you track that data though, from outside to inside, right? On a big project like that, there's a lot of trades still on site, from the excavators to the foundation to the podium, plumbers, electrician, mechanical, all the things that have to happen. Do you guys have like a end-to-end system in place to where the details and the data is collected for, the internal team to really take a look at and analyze? And then my second question to that, if there is, what are those KPIs? Like, what do you look at? Like when that data comes in, what makes your hair stand up on edge, and what makes you happy, I guess?
Well, I could say what makes my private equity company's hair stand up.
Okay.
We're always looking at controlling inventory, right? It's the biggest piece we have. We purchase every single product you can put in a construction site. So inventory is our biggest cash flow drain. In prior years, everybody knows the shortages we've experienced in inventory. It wasn't just, you can't just do on demand. It was like buy truckloads, get it here, make sure it was. If we have shortages, it holds up the line. We don't like to put anything out the door incomplete. That just spreads our labor out from inside and outside the factory. So, I mean, we look at inventory, we look at warehouse management, we look at efficiencies in laborers, not just with tack time, but time inside each unit or modular. We're always refining estimates because that makes the biggest difference to our customers. If it's
Yeah.
penciling out, what's the square foot price? What's the target square foot price? How can we get there? Are there purchasing, is there better ways to purchase larger quantities? Working direct with the the direct with the vendors rather than going through a middleman. There's all sorts of ways we start looking at these processes that we're doing to refine them. Even though Gurdon's been around a long time, this is kind of new for everybody. So everybody's like, we've never done this before. And so I've kind of brought that with me from the outside construction world into the modular, um, into Gurdon here, looking at it differently than they have been before. Because
Are you
when the market's so tight, you have to find these efficiencies. You have to know where you can cut costs, or what items, if we standardize things, will make the biggest difference.
right? I've been seeing a lot of manufacturers start using, the employee data, the tracking data of where they're at, where they're walking, so they can actually see where the inefficiencies are in their work. Not from them not doing a good job, but should we move that tray from over there here so they don't have to go back, and save them time, energy, and also their health over the years. Do you guys, is that what you're talking about when you say you track their time? Do you actually use tracking devices that help you really understand what that is? And can you let others know the value of that if you are using that?
We're in the process of implementing it right now. It's
Yeah.
not up and functioning yet. We're starting out simple, just basically the people in their departments and when they go in and out of the modular unit, why it's on the line. And then as they move it down the line, then they'll start on the, when do they start on the next one? How much time does it take? It also will help you work out bottlenecks,
Yeah.
so that you can see where things are getting held up. We're trying to get where we're moving 4 boxes out a day. If we get to that, if we're doing that, a lot of things have to line up, and you have to know where in the line you have to start that process. And if you're not looking at your labor and where you should start, like, tape and texture so that
Yeah.
it's dry by the time you need to paint it, and how long does that take as the modular is moving down the line, those are the kinds of things we're looking at right now. And so yes, we're putting in a process. It's not fully implemented. It's a work in process. We're working and refining it, every day, what we can do to make it better and more efficient. But we're trying to keep it simple as we roll it out, so that people will be engaged into using it. Right? It's a new technology. They can push a go button on an iPad. I'm starting now. I'm in this box. I'm doing this trade. Then when they're done with that, they can go in and say, no, now I'm doing this in this box, and this is when I started. And it kind of clocks them in and clocks them out during the day wherever they're at.
Well, and that's the value of it. The biggest hurdle, like you said, is getting over the big brother aspect, right? A lot of the trades are like, oh, they're watching everything I do, right?
That
And
is, yeah, that's a big challenge.
it
Yes.
it is. But when they start seeing how that data has turned their lives into a better workflow for the day, they get more work done, which means the company's more successful, which means their job is more secure. Dot dot dot. There's a whole windfall of things that come from these things, which I think was great. So, one of the things I wanted before we wrap up with some of your advice on the things that we should follow and take a couple comments here is. I want everybody to know when I said you escaped from Alcatraz, you literally escaped from Alcatraz, right? Because you did.
I literally did. Yes. I am a big triathlete, competed in over 50 or more triathlons,
Yeah.
and 3 half Ironmans, and I did 1 full Ironman last year. And so one of the triathlons I did was called Escape from Alcatraz.
Yeah.
And they put us on a barge and ship us over to the island, and we jump off the ship, and you are in the water, and you're going to try and make it to shore.
Aren't there sharks in that water? Not those guys, didn't they don't know if they got eaten by sharks.
Yeah, well, they say they're not really sharks that are aggressive, but I didn't really worry about the sharks. The water temperature is cold.
Yeah.
And all I was thinking about is get to the other side, because the current is so strong,
Right.
that if you're not moving forward, you are going out to sea. So my whole thought was just keep going. So,
Yeah.
but overall, that was probably one of the more difficult triathlons I've ever done, just because not only the swim from Alcatraz, but then the bike ride, super hilly, and then the run went through a trail and then down to the beach on the other side of the Golden Gate Bridge. And we ran in loose sand. And then we had a 200 step sand ladder that we had to climb to get back up to the top of
Right.
where the run was going to finish. So it was a very interesting triathlon. But yes, I
So you
believe
should be a
people can
Navy
escape
SEAL.
from Alcatraz.
You should try out for the Navy SEALs. It sounds it sounds hard. That is a ton of mental and physical toughness to bring into this industry, right? One, as a CFO, everybody knows don't mess with Cindy. Not
No,
me.
no.
with that said, when we look at that and we think about the next generations that's coming in this space, do we need those types of people to be successful in this space that have that mental toughness, or do we need, what I want to get out there is, what do we need to get the next generation into the space? And there's a lot of young people that love doing those things that you're doing.
Yeah, I think, my parents instilled early on a very strong work ethic in all of us. So my brothers and my sister, we're all very motivated. We have dedication, resiliency. We have grit. I call it grit. Like, we just have something that pushes us forward. And there are plenty of people out there, but I do think you need it in this industry, because this industry is still growing. We're still trying to get modular out there so that, these GCs and developers will use it more. And I think it really takes someone to be there that can help guide the future of this industry. And
Yeah.
that takes a lot of dedication, because it's not just a given. Like, onsite is just like, that's how we build, and that's how we've always done it. We're modular. You got to come in, you got to convince. And I think I've kind of learned that over the years too, when I came into this man's world of construction, that I really had to prove myself.
Yeah.
And it takes, especially if you're coming in, it takes modular manufacturers to prove that they're legitimate against on-site construction. And so, yeah, I think we need people like
Yeah,
that.
we definitely do. And we need more women in this industry, more diversity, all of the above. And I hope that even on that end, it's getting easier and easier for that to happen across the board. And I'm seeing the workforce in a lot of manufacturing, 30 to 40% now, women and versus men. So I think uh, we see it in the factories. We need to see it on site more often too, though.
Yeah, it's challenging with what we do, because it is a lot of building products, right? Where other manufacturing might be just tedious little
Right.
components you're putting together, where we're building these huge structures that is, it's trades. We got to still promote trades.
100%, 100%. All right, Cindy. So we're going to go to comments here in just 1 second. But before we do that, what is the number one thing you look for every day when you come into that office to make sure you're successful in your business?
I look for a good team. We all need to be a team. We got to be working together. I don't, I want the departments to communicate. I think it's so important. I have a little saying that I do if I have a few minutes here. It's called Give Me Five. It's communication. It leads to understanding. When people understand, or my parents, do you understand me? Let's get this done. So communication for understanding leads to respect. Without respect, then you get, the middle finger. But we need respect. We need to trust. Um, a lot of people try to go from, trust me, but they haven't gone through the process of gaining that trust. It's gaining trust, and then we can reach our end goal. So it's all those things, the five. If you don't have those things, if you take away your goal, your trust, your respect, your communication, your understanding, all you have is a fight. And together, I come in the office here every day going, let's work as a team. Let's be united, and let's get this thing going.
I think a quote that Winston Churchill said,
Yes.
right? Do you know it by heart, or you want me to read it?
I know it by heart. It is success. Now you put me on the spot, and it's going to go out of my brain. Success is never. Oh,
I got it right here.
all right.
I'm
Yes.
gonna flash it. I'll flash it on the screen because I think
Okay.
it's that important. I actually do like it very, very much. So here we go.
I've learned this over the years of being in construction, having my own company. It's hard. It's success is not final. There's times where I didn't know if I was going to succeed or not, if I was going to make
Yeah.
payroll on Friday. So it's never final. You have to
Yeah.
always strive to it. Failure is not fatal. You can get through failure. It's just the courage to continue that counts.
That's right. And when
And
you're a
that's
business owner, you risk everything. It takes resilience and persistence in the face of both success. And it wouldn't allow me to put all of that out there. But I think that's very, very true. All right, let's go to some comments. What you think? Let's see who's out there. Greg Ugaldi's in the house, past chair of the National Association of Home Builders. Dave, you are correct. Cindy's ability to offer financial analysis is key. Perhaps share numbers with those considering their options. Way to go, DC Live. Yeah, I mean, that's like probably, one of the biggest things when we look at Modular, Cindy, is the numbers, obviously
yeah.
from a CFO perspective. Is there any key metrics that we should be sharing that aren't like internal secrets that you can help people with?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest one is what you always hear from, you have to get it within a square foot price that pencils for the developers. And that's what we're always refining is, hey, can you be $120 a square foot? Or, it's different in every market that you're building into, but it's that challenge of where do you cut the costs when you're looking at estimating
Right.
to get it to work for people. And I think I really literally that's one of our biggest keys right there is just looking at that square foot price all the time.
And when we say cutting costs, it doesn't mean cutting corners. It means to me, like, where can we get a better process to make it more affordable?
Right. Or, working with vendors to help with pricing
Right.
or, just the success of overall project. But no, quality is not actually, if you don't have the quality in there, you're actually hindering yourself because then your warranty costs come back at you. The back charges from the general contractors will eat you alive. So you got to have the quality. It's not definitely not cutting corners.
And you said earlier that you work with your trades to make sure they are profitable as well, because it's important to get the quality that you need for the end client. So it's not about beating up trades for better costs or suppliers. It's about working with them to find common ground so everybody can succeed together. And that's something I just wanted to say again, because you said it
Right.
earlier.
Yes, correct.
For sure. We got two comments that are not showing up on my dashboard, but I have been informed that Stephen Basic is out there, one of the greatest architects in the world, by the way, saying hello, as well as Gustavo Estravit of Thunder Mounts Garage Systems says hello, Cindy. So,
Hello.
not sure if you know Gustavo or not. We have Thomas Coronado tuning in today. Says, hey, Dave, checking in. By the way, one of the greatest bankers in the industry when it comes to single family homes. If you don't know Tom Coronado, you should. He doesn't look like that, though. He wears this big, he lives out in the West. He has a big hat on. So don't let him fool you with that banker suit. He is one of the best people out there in bankers by far.
Does
All
he,
right.
does he also do apartments, modular commercial, or
You'd
just
have
homes?
You'd have to ask him. I don't know if
Okay.
he's moved over into that space. I know he made a recent change. So Tom, there you go. There's your opening to give Cindy a call. Give her a call and say, see what you can
Perfect.
offer. He would love it. Tim Sims is in the house. Hey, Tim. Hello from Las Vegas, which I'll be there Thursday. I'm at Autodesk University at the Venetian. The top question I get is financing for modular. I know Fannie Freddie were trying to launch something. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think the problem we get with the HUD financing or Fannie and Freddie are that they require more of a prevailing wage product, and we try and stay away from that. So other than traditional banks, like I said, it is hard out there right now. These developers are up against a hurdle with the interest rates going up and more equity needed for the project. So yeah, we're always looking for better ways to finance or help these companies get through financing.
Love it. Thank you so
Again,
much.
it's the education to the banks, I really think is key. Bringing them in, letting them tour a factory.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we're working on that, Cindy, so we can talk about that a little bit as well, because that is a big, big thing for the Dave Cooper Live show to help this industry grow, is to have those higher level conversations. So
Right.
we will do our part for sure. All right, Henry Mickelberg says, when you say employees, do you mean subs? And if so, are you using approved for payment systems linked to line item milestones to manage the cash flow?
I actually mean employees. So the majority of our workforce is Gurdon employees. We have a small percentage that is contract labor, and we are not subbing anything out currently. So when I discuss employees, it is actually our employees that are here in the factory.
Henry, thank you very, very much. All right, last comment here, and we're going to wrap this up. Jennifer says, incredible physical and mental strength, business and financial acumen. Where do I sign up for your masterclass? There you go.
All
Now,
right.
Jen, good luck. You can
Thank
go
you.
swimming with the sharks. That is awesome. Cindy, is there anything you want to leave us with before we wrap up today? Is there anything that I missed that you really want people to know about Gurdon and yourself personally? Now's your chance.
Oh, I just want to say that I think Modular is new, and well, not new. It's been around for a long time, but it's an incredible way to build. I'm excited to be part of the industry and trying to make changes here, and whatever I can do to help lead the front on the financing pieces, I take up the challenge.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate having you on. Don't go anywhere. Here's some words from our sponsor. We will see you Wednesday, 1 p.m. Don't miss it. I'm Dave Cooper. Cindy, thanks for watching. Bye now.
Bye.
What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.